All right, now talking tools a little bit. Certainly the Mora is considered ultralight, and I kind of laugh when I look back at some of my first videos when I was getting into ultralight stuff. I basically called them a quest for ultralight gear, and it was me struggling with coming down with smaller and lighter weight options. The Mora was one of the lighter weights, compared to my LMF and a lot of the bigger knives. They really aren't needed for ultralight hiking. They really aren't needed for through hiking. Now, if I were to take a wood burning stove, I would want to have a way of processing that. There's a lot of wood and twigs you can pick up that feed those stoves. They really don't take a whole lot of wood, but to have peace in mind, I would feel better having a smaller knife. Now the Mora is pretty light. It's like 2 ounces, 2.5 ounces. Cheap little B2K thing that I've used a little bit as a neck knife. That is very light, and in fact I could take the paracord off. There's ways to make some of this stuff lighter. A lot of ultralight hikers will kind of laugh at seeing this because they would never think about taking a fixed blade. Now I've even got the smaller Mora. I've taken the paint off, drilled the handle a little bit, and it's a nice small size. I did cut down the sheath a little bit. I have taped on there a little sandpaper to keep my blade sharp, which is a nice little thing. I brought it down to almost like an ounce. This thing doesn't weigh anything for the size. But more than likely I won't take a wood burning stove, so this is out. But this is a nice, very small package that I feel comfortable batoning wood and preparing wood. Now when you talk about multi-tools, a lot of guys, you don't ever take your full-size multi-tool. This is a Surge, so this is ridiculous, but this is an example. What was very popular is the Skeletool. Comes in at 5 ounces and basically has a little bit of everything you need. There's a knife and pliers and a screwdriver, and that's for the most part what most guys need, and it brings it down to 5 ounces, which is very respectable compared to most multi-tools. But when we're talking ultralight hiking, it starts getting a little ridiculous. The Opinel is nice. It does have a lock on it. It's a lightweight folder. Certainly the wood helps, but still a lot bigger than you're ever going to need. For the most part, all you're doing is opening freeze-dried bags and packaging at the mail drops and things like that. Maybe chopping off a little bit of gear, cutting some excess webbing, little things like that certainly small pocket knives are designed for. And when I got the Gerber Curve, that was one thing that really struck out. I always thought that would make an excellent ultralight knife. It has a lock, which I still tremendously love. A couple basic tools, a small screwdriver, does have a nail file, which is pretty handy. So all in all, I still think that is a very good option. Now the Classic, the actual name of it, and I've got it in the tactical pink here, the little baby Swiss Army knife still kicks butt over most of these guys. You've got a small little blade, you have a nail file, a screw, scissors, which are a must on my list. You also have tweezers, and of course the toothpick over there. This, for its size, has a tremendous amount of weight and power for ultralight backpackers. It is not uncommon, we'll get rid of this little guy, not uncommon, and this can extend out to your bug out kits, guys. It's not uncommon to see someone with lightweight scissors. These are Maritac scissors, a nice powerful pair of tweezers. I believe these are Countycom. A lot of bug out guys, you'll hear, in the military, your feet are imperative. You got to take care of your nails, keep everything trimmed down. So with all this weight here, you now have clipper and file, tweezers, and scissors. Well, I guarantee you can do the same thing with this tinier little Cadet, or Classic, I believe it is. You can certainly trim your toenails with scissors. I've done it many times, and in fact I prefer it a lot of the times. So in my goal, this little guy is actually my sister's. My goal was to find something that had some of the power of those guys without carrying all of that. And you'd still need a knife. This knife doesn't have scissors, it doesn't have tweezers or anything else, so you'd really kind of need those four to get just what this little guy has. a classic design with all the power that you've ever needed. So on was my search, and the Leatherman, I know this is going to show up very well. Let me grab my give you a close up here. This is the Leatherman Style. A very unique, small. It weighs the same. You can see the size is about the same, but the fit and finish I was amazed with. In fact, it has a small little spot here to hide some tweezers that you would never know were there. In fact, it said it on the package and I almost had to look for it. So you have tweezers, you have a decent little blade. I'll kind of compare the blades side by side there, and I've got a separate review on this one, but you know, a nice size blade. It does not lock. On the other side you have a nice file, you know, little screwdriver, very similar. You're gonna see it's very similar to the Victorinox Classic, and a tiny little pair of scissors. That with the tweezers, you're pretty much, minus a toothpick, you're right there in the same ballpark. Identical weight, identical firepower, but I will tell you, if I can get these back in right, I prefer the Leatherman. Now, the one thing that I'm missing that I actually really enjoy with these, so let's put these away. I really like the style, but when I'm fishing, webbing, or actually fishing, or using a repair needle, I absolutely love the utility of having pliers. Now, I know there's nothing fancy. There's a lot of fellas that like the Juice. Now the Juice is almost as heavy as the Skeletal. Has a little bit more firepower with extra screwdrivers and a bunch of other crap. But the Leatherman Squirt really does a pretty terrific job. Give you a little close up there. We'll pull out the blade. Very similar blade, a little bit bigger, not by much. The other side has a nice file. It's a metal file on one side, a wood file on the other. It even has file on the edges for small notching or whatnot. The other side, you have the same scissors that were on this guy, the Style. Sorry, those are both fairly new to me. I'm not really up on the lingo. This side, kind of a useless little flat blade, but for Phillips, that's what it's designed for. And a bottle opener with a flat blade. So you also get pliers in a nice little package. Let me give you a size comparison. I was very impressed with the size, but honestly, you can feel it's, I mean, I haven't compared it to any of the others. It's still lighter than the other plier tools I've got. But when you compare that, this little guy basically beats this in every way except for having pliers. I'll learn to not have pliers. This thing is feather light. You don't notice it, and is really a great compliment. So that's going in the kit. Moving on, you know, these little ultralight pack towels are very popular. It's definitely smaller than taking a regular towel. They dry quicker, but do you really need a full body towel? There's a lot of lighter weight options. These little bamboo towels, which is what's down here, they're about 16 grams. They're very lightweight. They're super compact when you don't need them, so it's nice to have to toss in extra. In fact, they'll actually inflate themselves with just your own sweat. They're very absorbable and very durable. In fact, I've used this one on a test hike over the entire weekend, including washing my face in the morning, washing out cook pots, and they hold up very well. Just a touch on the heavy side, more of kind of a luxury to have, along with having a full-size towel. Now, certainly, you could go with a smaller. This is the MSR Nano, and I more than likely will bring this one just due to the fact I can actually dry my entire body on this tiny little towel. It clips onto your pack and dries out as you're hiking, and it compacts down to nothing. So for the size and weight and form, it really does quite well, and it really isn't as hard to get back in here as it looks. But you almost get the same performance out of the newer material like this, and these aren't expensive. I think it was like $6, and that wasn't on sale. You can go to like the dollar store and get like the fake sham wows. This is very lightweight. This is what I keep in my cook set. I think it works very well, very durable. You can also, in the paper towel area, you'll always see like a pack of 5 of these more heavy paper towel material, and they work out pretty good. And they're just about, this whole towel is about as heavy, 7 grams, as half of a ShamWow. So more than likely I'll have this in my cook set, and I'll have the Nano. But things like that are things to consider. I'll only have one extra because I will have a bandana. Bandanas, you know, 101 uses. Primarily I use them when cooking, for drying off. This is an oversized one, and this will be also part of my I guess sunwear, to keep my neck from burning and things like that. But bandanas are flawless. This is super lightweight material. It's actually from Rob at the canteen shop. I like the oversized bandanas that he uses because you really get more uses out of them.